Hello everyone, welcome to the second session of our series on Zentangle tile on tile. In today's session, we are going to be working on another interesting string, right? So I have this bigger size paper in front of me. As I mentioned, it is a A5 size paper, which is about half of the A4 size paper, right? And now I'm just going to add kind of a curve here, just for the sake of reference. This is not a part of the string, but I have drawn a curve, and then I'm going to use a smaller coaster as a stencil. If you have anything else which is smaller than the regular tile, but this is bigger than the bijou, right? So somewhere in between, I'm going to start with the string. So I have drawn the first, used this coaster as a stencil, and then I'm going to place another one, something like this. So I'm just taking the curve that I've drawn as a reference because I'm going to place the tiles something like this. Yes, flowing in that fashion. Then moving on to the third one. So the overlaps can be big, can be small, the way you wish to. And then I'm going to the fourth one. So probably we'll draw two more. So yeah. So the string is just a suggestion. Again, you can change it as we draw. You can manipulate it the way you wish to. That's not a problem. This is just for reference. Yeah. So we have drawn a couple of tiles. Now we are going to, it is up to us which part of the overlap we want to show. Yeah. So let's get started. As I mentioned in my previous session also, when you're drawing overlapping tiles, always try give a slight border. Since the tiles are smaller here, I'm going to restrict the border also. It is a thin border there, but I'm going to give the border anyways because it will help me kind of separate the tiles. Yes, now it is up to you. If you want to draw this tile complete or you want only this portion, it is absolutely up to you. So I'm just going to draw, I think, this part only. So let's start with a simple tangle called drawings. Yes, so let's have fun. I'm going to start with an orb. Draw another orb inside. Convert it into a caviar. Yes, and then I'm going to add some S shapes emanating from the orb. So retrace a part of the orb and just give a slight curve, just like an S, like this. Yes, and as I mentioned, I'm going to draw this tile. So I will consider this overlap. So I'm not going to draw my drawings inside there. And the last S here. Right? So once you are drawn the S shapes, then you just have to, from the back of the S, you just have to draw these curves and come to the half of the second. Yeah. So again, I'll show you from starting from here. You just have to draw these curved lines and then touch to about half of this next S shape. Again, some bit of drawing behind there and touch here to about half of the next S shape. Again, like this. Yes, and probably here and then here. Yeah, so that's our drawings. Now if you want, you can bring these lines down like this, but that's entirely up to you. Tangle pattern drawings. Beautiful flowy tangle nice curves and curls. Right, and then some bit of drawing behind there, like this. Now I'm going to add an aura. Wherever I can, wherever I see spaces, I'm just going to kind of separate my drawings from the next tangle that I'm going to be drawing. So take your time, add an aura all around. Yeah, done with that. Now let's add something like tipple or bronx cheers or printums. You can add any tangle in the background. So let's add something with our brown or burgundy PN as we used in the last session also. So I'm just going to add something like bronx cheers here. Yeah. So just ensure that you don't enter this part of the tile. So bronx cheers is nothing but these orbs, and fill it in with the highlight. Yeah, just leave a small highlight inside and ink the rest. You can leave small little spaces while you are inking. It need not be perfectly inked. That's what will help separate the orbs from each other. Something like this. Yes, so let's do that. In the leftover spaces, fill it up with these beautiful tangle called bronx cheers. I'm going to continue like this. You take your time, draw at your own pace. So I'm now on the last section, continuing to add these nice orbs, grapes. Looks just like grapes. The tangle bronx cheers, right? Now inside my drawings, if you want, inside one of the sections you can add any tangle. So I'm just going to add a simple tangle called shattuck inside one of the sections of my drawings. So there are 3 sections in each of these feathers or wings. Yeah, so you can add alternatively. This simple tangle is shattuck. You just have to draw straight or curvy lines and keep changing the angle of the lines as you draw them. Tangle pattern shattuck. Again, I'm going to draw it here. Take your time, slowly do that exercise. Yeah, so I'll do that for 2 more sections in the same fashion. Tangle pattern shattuck. So we are done with our first tile. Let me zoom in a little so that, yes. So we are done with the first tile. I'm just going to add kind of soft outline and also add an outline here, separating my tile from the next one. right? So that was the first one. Now I'm going to draw the second one. So for the second one, let us use, yeah, we'll just not consider this as an overlap and draw in this part of the tile. That's entirely up to you. How do you want the overlaps to show? Yeah. So let's again first start with the border. That is most important. If this line is confusing you, then you can very well erase it. For this project, maybe you'll have to keep an eraser handy. Yes. Otherwise, it is generally not required as far as Zentangle is concerned. So again, I am adding a thin border. As I mentioned earlier also, when we are drawing overlapping tiles, then the borders come handy. They help us to distinguish between the different tiles. So the next one that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a tangle called narwhal. Yes, and how does that start? That starts with something like a small curve up. Yes, and then I'm going to start drawing some more of these. Probably you may not connect them. You can just draw like these. I'll just show you. The shape would be something like a cone. Yeah, so that's how the tangle goes. These slanting lines must be reminding you of a tangle called perk that we just did in the previous session. So again, I'm repeating those slanting lines, right? And then what you have to do is just create some sections like these. So I will create one section and then I will connect it like this. I will create one section like this and then I will connect these two like this. I'm drawing it slowly, created one section and then connected it like this. Created one section and then connected these like this. Again, you can just simply connect these. Yeah, that's a angle called narwhal. I will show you once again. Again, I'm drawing a cone. I'm going to start with these pork-like slanting lines. So they need not be evenly spaced. You can draw it any which ways. The gaps can be less, more. Yes, and then start here, connect, add one or two layers. You can even add thinner 2 layers. Yes, and then you can just connect or add one more thinner layer and then connect. Depending on spaces, again connect. So these lines are slanting, the connecting lines. Tangle pattern narwhal. Now these slanting lines need to be separated, so I'm just going to ink it with a highlight like this. Yes. It's like the bands of next angle that we are going to be drawing, which is jet tees. So ink the bands with a small highlight like this. So as you can see here, I have inked, and now the next thing I'm going to do is add some nice jet tees. Jet tees is a very simple tangle to draw. You just have to draw orbs and add a band in between. So it is up to you. You want to draw complete ones, you want to draw behind, whichever way you wish to draw, depending on whatever spaces we have. We can place it any which ways we want. Have fun with jet tees. You can fill up the remaining section, either all or some of the sections with jet tees. First, the in-between spaces, I'm just going to fill it up with very tiny tipples. I'm not inking it because I want the bands to be discrete. because bands are here. Bands will be a part of my jetties also, so let's not ink the in between spaces. Instead, just add very tiny tipples which add a nice texture. Wherever you have tiny spaces, just insert some nice and small tipples. Take your time. So it's not necessary that you have to fill the complete tile. Now I'm going to draw those bands which are generally a part of jetties. Now up to you if you want to fill it up or if you want to add these orbs. That's entirely your choice. Yes, draw those bands and add these nice orbs inside. Make sure the small little intersectices are filled in. Yeah, so I'm almost done. Yes, so done with our second tile also. So let us just add a border, just inking the border, the outer border also, not with a very heavy hand, but yes, kind of broken and light black line there. Yes, now let us move on to our third tile. Again, we are going to consider this. So let's erase this part and I will only draw this part as far as the third tile is concerned. Yes, so again start with the border. In the third tile, let's draw a tangle called circles. So start with these curvy lines. Circles is another drama tangle. Adds great drama to your tile. I've started with these curvy lines. The tiles are smaller here. Try restricting the number of tangles to 2 or maximum 3, or maybe 2 would be sufficient as far as this size of tiles is concerned. Yes, so otherwise you would not be able to do justice with all the tangles. So I'm adding only one tangle here, somewhere in between, somewhere crossing two sections like this. Yes, and then probably first I'm just going to ink this part because there will be a lot of inking involved. So as far as circles is concerned, if you are inking the orb, this part of the orb, then the rest of the section remains empty, right? So that's how we alternate. So here I'm going to ink the section and leave the part of the orb falling in this section just like that. Yeah, something like this. So as you can see here, in the next section I have inked the orbs, and the next I will ink the spaces other than the orb. So that's how the tangled circles is drawn. Now the spaces that I'm inking because I want that drama, and it is inked in the original tangle. However, having said that, if you want a tangulation, you can always add some other tangle in these inked spaces. Yeah, you can also add something interesting inside the orbs. Let's see if we will do that. We can do that with our white jelly roll also. Right now I'm just going to slowly ink the sections and complete my tangled circles, which will be the only tangle as far as this tile is concerned, this part of the tile. Yes. So take your time, don't haste up. The next section, ink the orbs and leave the section white. I think by now you must have got a hang of how I am doing it. Yes? Right, so we are done with our struggles also. Now I'm going to move on to the next. Let us ink this part of our tile also. So we are already down 3 tiles, part of tiles. Yes. Now let us move on to the fourth. So this one, if you want, you can draw a complete tile, or you can again restrict to this part. So since they are all overlaps, so I'm not going to draw a complete tile. I'm again going to, give an overlap. So just draw a border as we have been doing till now, and then choose any tangle of your choice. Let us now go with a tangle called flux. So I'm going to add the tangle flux around the tile and then add probably a simple tangle like Indirella inside it. So I've started with Rick's version of flux here, and I've again switched pen to my burgundy. So I'm going to go around the tile, kind of create an enclosure inside which we can choose any other tangle which we will wish to draw. Yes, you can add some like these also. Flux is a Zentangle original. This is Rick's version of flux. Has nice balloon shapes, nice and big droplet shapes. Organic looking tangle, nature inspired. If you talk about Zentomology, yes. So again, you can either change the direction also. Entirely up to you, how do you want to. So I'm drawing some really nice and big flux there. Yes, and when you have flux, you ought to have these small tipples in between because they add a lot to the look of this tile, this tangle, I'm sorry. So generally, flux will have tipples in between. You can see how they add beautifully to the look of this tangle. So wherever you wish to place a few small tiny orbs, you can do that in between spaces. Yeah, so if you want to add a few more, you can. I'm going to stop here. Some bit of extra ink here and there also looks really nice, just in case you're not adding an orb there. Kind of weighting or rounding probably. And then let us use our black, but I'm using a little thicker, bolder nib and just going to add some Indirellas inside. A nice and simple, cool looking tile. So that's the tangle Indirella. You can add a bunch of them. It is a purely aura based tangle. Again, start with a dot, increase the size of the curves, and then gradually diminish it and then fade it out. Generally, Indirellas are drawn in this shape. However, that's not a precondition. You can draw it anyways. Take your time. Draw as many as you wish. You can change the shape. You can maneuver the shape. Take it up, take it down, whichever way you like it. Yes? So have fun. Bring it down. You want some bubbles floating in there, you can do that also. Let's leave it here. We'll see if we want to add something more to this style. I'm just going to leave it here. Yes. Now let us move on to the fourth and the last style. So I'm going to again ink the previous one. So this part need not be inked. You just need to ink the outer tile. Again stop here and stop here, and then probably you can side by side ink the last one also, like this and like this, and a slight section there. Again I'm going to add a border, like this, and then choose any tangle of your choice. This section I'm just adding some black pearls. I feel like adding some black pearls just flying around. Right, so I'm going to add the tangle Marasu inside here. You can choose any tangle that you feel like. So start with the spiral, then tangle original Marasu. So I'm going to draw a nice and big spiral. Again I'm going to keep it to one tangle in this style also, but if you want you can add some more tangles. I think 2 tangles should be fine. Yes, the next step is to add these curved lines and divide your entire spiral into sections. Slowly take your time and do that exercise. Yeah. So once you are done creating those sections, the next step is of course to start inking. Yes, so I'm just going to add a nice droplet shape here. And then start to ink, and you can leave a highlight in between. If you don't want to leave a highlight, you can do that later with your chalk pencil also. Right, so first I'm going to go with alternate sections, ink them with black, and then the remaining sections I will ink them with the burgundy. Yes, so either you can leave it white in between spaces, or you can add lines with burgundy. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, so I'm just leaving a highlight in between. There are various ways to leave the highlight, so this is one of the ways. So take your time, go around and ink alternate sections. I am going to do it at my own pace, and you take your time. Ink it nicely, don't be in a haste. Take a break, take a walk, stretch yourself, stretch your hands, and get back.